Chapter 1. The Distress Signal. The stars glittered like diamonds scattered across the vast expanse of space. The crew of the starship Aegis was on a routine patrol mission in the outer rim, scanning for any signs of activity. Captain Elias Harper, a seasoned veteran, sat in the command chair, his eyes fixed on the holographic display in front of him. The silence of space was broken only by the hum of the ship's engines and the occasional beep of the scanners. "Captain, I'm picking up a faint distress signal," Lieutenant Ava Martinez reported from her station. She adjusted the controls, trying to get a clearer reading. "Can you pinpoint the source?" Elias asked, leaning forward with a frown. Ava's fingers danced over the console. "It's coming from the Epsilon 9 sector, approximately 20 light-years from our current position. The signal is weak, but it appears to be of alien origin." Elias nodded. "Set a course for Epsilon 9. Let's see who needs our help." The Aegis's engines roared to life as the ship changed direction, speeding towards the source of the distress signal. The crew was on high alert, their training kicking in as they prepared for whatever awaited them. As they neared the Epsilon 9 sector, the signal grew stronger. Ava managed to clean up the transmission, revealing a desperate plea for help in an unfamiliar language. The universal translator struggled to keep up, but the message was clear. Someone was in grave danger. "Captain, I think it's a mother and child," Ava said, her voice tinged with concern. "They're being attacked by unknown forces." Elias's jaw tightened. "Prepare for a potential hostile encounter. Shields up, weapons ready." The Aegis emerged from hyperspace to find a small, battered ship under attack by a swarm of sleek black vessels. Energy beams and plasma bolts crisscrossed the void, lighting up the darkness with deadly precision. "Target the attackers and open fire," Elias commanded. The Aegis's weapons blazed to life, unleashing a barrage of laser fire that tore through the enemy ships. One by one, the black vessels exploded in a shower of sparks and debris, forced to retreat by the superior firepower of the human starship. "Incoming transmission from the alien ship," Ava announced. "Put it on screen," Elias ordered. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the image of an alien woman. She had pale blue skin, large violet eyes, and a cascade of silvery hair. Her expression was a mixture of relief and fear. "Thank you," she said in heavily accented English. "My name is Lyra. My child and I are refugees. We need your help." Elias nodded, his stern features softening slightly. "You're safe now, Lyra. We'll bring you aboard and see to your needs. Prepare for docking." As the alien ship docked with the Aegis, the crew hurried to make preparations. Medics and security personnel stood ready as the airlock hissed open, revealing Lyra and her young son. The boy clung to his mother, his eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. "Welcome aboard," Elias said, stepping forward. "I'm Captain Elias Harper. We'll take care of you." Lyra bowed her head in gratitude. "Thank you, Captain. I don't know how to repay you." Elias smiled reassuringly. "Let's start by getting you and your son some medical attention. We'll talk more once you're settled." As Lyra and her son were led to the medbay, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that their arrival was only the beginning of a much larger and more dangerous journey. Chapter 2. Unveiling the Threat. Lyra and her son Cal were taken to the medbay, where Dr. Emily Carter and her team worked quickly to assess their condition. Cal was dehydrated and suffering from minor injuries, but he was otherwise healthy. Lyra, however, had more serious wounds that needed immediate attention. Dr. Carter's brow furrowed as she examined Lyra's injuries. These wounds were caused by energy weapons. Whoever attacked them wasn't just trying to scare them off. Lyra winced as the doctor applied a healing salve to her arm. "We were fleeing from the Karath, a ruthless species that conquers and enslaves entire worlds. They destroyed our home planet, and we've been on the run ever since." Elias, who had been listening quietly, exchanged a grim look with his first officer, Commander Jake Reynolds. "The Karath are known for their brutality. If they're operating in this sector, it could spell trouble for the entire region." Lyra nodded, her eyes filled with worry. "We managed to escape, but others weren't so lucky. The Karath are relentless. They won't stop until they've captured us or killed us." Elias placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're safe here, Lyra. We'll protect you and Cal. but we need to know everything you can tell us about the Karath and their operations." Lyra took a deep breath, her voice trembling slightly. "The Karath have a massive fleet, and they're led by a warlord named Vortan. He's ruthless and cunning. They use advanced technology to subjugate other species and strip their planets of resources. They're always looking for new worlds to conquer." Ava, who had been monitoring the conversation, chimed in. "Captain, if the Karath are expanding their territory, we need to warn the Galactic Council. They need to be prepared for a potential invasion." Elias nodded in agreement. "You're right, Lieutenant. But first, we need to gather more information. Lyra, do you have any data or coordinates that could help us track the Karath movements?" Lyra hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Yes, I have some data stored in our ship's computer. It might not be much, but it's a start." "Good," Elias said. "Ava, take a team and retrieve the data from Lyra's ship. We need to analyze it and see what we're up against." As Ava and her team set off to retrieve the data, Elias turned to Lyra. "We'll do everything we can to help you, Lyra, but we need to be prepared for the worst. If the Karath are as dangerous as you say, we might be facing a war." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "I just want my son to be safe. We've lost everything. Please help us stop the Karath." Elias's expression softened. "We will, Lyra. You have my word." Chapter 3. The Unlikely Alliance. The data retrieved from Lyra's ship provided valuable insights into the Karath's operations. The Aegis's crew worked tirelessly to analyze the information, uncovering patterns in the Karath's movements and identifying potential weak points in their defenses. "We need allies," Elias said during a strategy meeting with his senior officers. "The Karath are too powerful for us to take on alone. We need to unite the other species in this sector and form a coalition." Commander Reynolds nodded. "Agreed, but convincing them to join forces won't be easy. Many of them have been living in fear of the Karath for years." "We'll need to show them that we have a chance of winning," Ava added. "If we can secure a few key victories, it might be enough to inspire others to join us." Elias leaned back in his chair, deep in thought. "We need to find out who else has been affected by the Karath and reach out to them. We'll start with the nearest star systems and work our way outwards." The Aegis set a course for the nearest inhabited planet, a lush green world called Xanthar. The Xanthari were known for their advanced technology and strong warrior culture. If they could be convinced to join the fight, it would be a significant boost to the coalition. As the Aegis entered orbit around Xanthar, Elias and a small delegation beamed down to the planet's surface. They were met by a group of Xanthari soldiers, their leader a tall, imposing figure named General Kaldor. "Welcome to Xanthar," Kaldor said, his voice deep and authoritative. "I understand you seek an audience with our council." Elias nodded. "Yes, General, we need your help. The Karath are a threat to us all, and we believe that by uniting, we can defeat them." Kaldor's expression was unreadable as he led them to the council chamber. The Xanthari Council, a group of wise and experienced leaders, listened intently as Elias presented his case. "The Karath have already destroyed several worlds," Elias said. "They won't stop until they've conquered us all, but we have a chance to fight back. We have information on their movements and weaknesses. With your help, we can turn the tide." The council members exchanged glances, their expressions serious. Finally, the eldest of them, a wise and respected leader named Eldara, spoke. "We have long feared the Karath, but we have also longed for an opportunity to strike back. If what you say is true, then we must act." General Kaldor stepped forward, his eyes blazing with determination. "The Xanthari will join your coalition, Captain Harper. We will fight for our freedom and the freedom of others." Elias smiled, relief washing over him. "Thank you, General. Together we will be strong enough to stand against the Karath." Chapter 4. Preparing for Battle. With the Xanthari on board, Elias and his crew set out to gather more allies. They traveled from planet to planet, meeting with leaders and presenting their case. Some were eager to join the fight, while others were more hesitant, wary of the risks involved. One of the most critical alliances they formed was with the Zorathians, a technologically advanced species known for their strategic brilliance. Their leader, Chancellor Valara, was a shrewd and calculating individual, but she recognized the threat posed by the Karath and agreed to join the coalition. "The Karath have underestimated us for too long," Valara said during a strategy meeting with Elias and the other coalition leaders. "It's time we show them the true strength of our united forces." The coalition began to take shape, with each species contributing their strengths and resources. The Xanthari provided formidable warriors, the Zorathians offered advanced technology and tactical expertise, and the humans brought their determination and ingenuity. As preparations for the first major offensive against the Karath got underway, the Aegis's crew worked around the clock. Engineers upgraded the ship's weapon systems, scientists developed new strategies, and soldiers trained relentlessly. Lyra and Cal watched the preparations with a mix of hope and anxiety. They had found safety and support among the humans, but the memory of their homeworld's destruction was never far from their minds. One evening, as the ship's lights dimmed for the night cycle, Elias found Lyra standing by a viewport, gazing out at the stars. "Penny for your thoughts?" he asked, joining her. Lyra smiled faintly. "Just thinking about everything that's happened. It's hard to believe that we might actually have a chance to stop the Karath." Elias nodded. "It won't be easy, but we've got a good team, and we're fighting for something worth protecting." Lyra turned to him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Elias. You've given us hope when we had none. I don't know how we can ever repay you." Elias shook his head. "You don't owe us anything, Lyra. We're all in this together, and we'll do whatever it takes to keep you and Cal safe." As the coalition forces gathered and finalized their plans, the tension aboard the Aegis grew palpable. Everyone knew that the upcoming battle would be critical. Success would mean a significant blow to the Karath's operations, while failure could spell disaster for the fledgling alliance. Finally, the day of the offensive arrived. The coalition fleet, an impressive armada of ships from multiple species, assembled in the void of space. The Aegis took its place at the forefront, ready to lead the charge. Elias stood on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the holographic display showing their target, a heavily fortified Karath outpost on the edge of their territory. It was a key strategic location, and taking it would disrupt the Karath's supply lines and weaken their hold on the sector. "All ships, prepare for battle," Elias commanded. "Stay sharp and watch each other's backs. We're in this together." The fleet surged forward, engines blazing as they closed in on the Karath outpost. The Karath forces were quick to respond, their ships swarming to meet the attackers. The void of space erupted in a maelstrom of laser fire and explosions. The Aegis and its allies fought with determination and skill, their coordinated efforts pushing back the Karath defenses. "Target their command ship," Elias ordered. "If we can take it out, the rest will fall apart." The Aegis's weapons locked onto the massive Karath command ship, unleashing a barrage of laser fire and torpedoes. The enemy vessel shuddered under the onslaught, its shields flickering and failing. "Keep up the pressure," Elias urged. With a final, devastating salvo, the Karath command ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The remaining Karath ships, leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat. "Victory!" Ava shouted, her voice filled with triumph. The bridge erupted in cheers as the coalition forces secured the outpost. The first major victory against the Karath had been won, and the tide of the war was beginning to turn. Chapter 5: The Final Stand. The victory at the Karath outpost was a significant turning point, but the war was far from over. The Karath were a formidable enemy, and they quickly regrouped, launching a series of brutal counterattacks against the coalition forces. The Aegis and its allies fought valiantly, but the cost was high. Many brave soldiers and ships were lost in the battles that followed. The strain of the prolonged conflict began to take its toll on everyone involved. Despite the hardships, the coalition remained united, driven by the shared goal of defeating the Karath and securing a future free from their tyranny. Elias and his team continued to lead the charge, their determination unshaken. They knew that the final battle was approaching, and they prepared themselves for what would undoubtedly be the most challenging fight of their lives. The coalition's intelligence network had uncovered the location of the Karath's primary stronghold, a heavily fortified planet deep within their territory. It was the heart of their operations, and taking it would be the key to ending the war. As the coalition fleet assembled for the final assault, Elias addressed his crew one last time. "This is it," he said, his voice steady and resolute. "We've come a long way, and we've faced countless challenges, but we've also shown that we are stronger together. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every world that has suffered under the Karath's rule. Let's give them everything we've got." The fleet surged forward, plunging into the heart of Karath territory. The enemy forces were ready and waiting, and the battle that ensued was nothing short of epic. Laser fire and explosions filled the void as the coalition and Karath ships clashed. The Aegis led the charge, its weapons blazing as it tore through the enemy ranks. On the ground, coalition soldiers stormed the Karath stronghold, facing fierce resistance at every turn. Lyra, who had insisted on joining the fight, fought alongside the human soldiers, her skills and determination earning her the respect of those around her. As the battle raged on, Elias and his team identified a critical weakness in the Karath defenses: a massive energy shield protecting their central command center. If they could disable the shield, they could strike at the heart of the enemy's operations. "Ava, Jake, you're with me," Elias said. "We're taking a strike team down to disable that shield." The team boarded a shuttle and descended to the planet's surface, fighting their way through enemy lines to reach the shield generator. The facility was heavily guarded, and the fighting was intense, but the coalition forces pressed on with unwavering determination. As they reached the shield generator, Elias and his team set charges to destroy the facility. The Karath defenders fought desperately to stop them, but they were no match for the combined skill and resolve of the coalition soldiers. With a deafening explosion, the shield generator was destroyed, and the energy barrier protecting the Karath command center fell. "Shield is down," Ava reported. "Let's finish this." The coalition fleet launched a full-scale assault on the now vulnerable command center. The Aegis and its allies unleashed everything they had, bombarding the enemy stronghold with a relentless barrage of firepower. Inside the command center, Vortan, the Karath warlord, watched in fury as his forces were decimated. In a final, desperate attempt to turn the tide, he launched an all-out counterattack, throwing everything he had at the coalition. The battle reached its climax as the Aegis and Vortan's flagship engaged in a titanic duel. The two ships traded devastating blows, their hulls ablaze with damage. Elias stood on the bridge, his eyes locked on the enemy vessel. "Target their engines and weapon systems. Let's end this." The Aegis weapons focused on the Karath flagship, delivering a series of precise, crippling strikes. The enemy ship shuddered and began to break apart under the relentless assault. "We've got them," Ava shouted. With a final thunderous explosion, Vortan's flagship was destroyed, signaling the end of the Karath's reign of terror. The coalition forces cheered in triumph as the remaining Karath ships surrendered or fled. The battle was won, and the war was over. Elias and his team returned to the Aegis exhausted but victorious. The cost had been high, but they had achieved what many thought impossible. As the coalition celebrated their hard-earned victory, Elias looked around at his crew and the allies who had become friends. They had faced incredible odds and emerged stronger for it. Lyra approached him, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, Elias. You saved us all," Elias smiled. "We did it together, Lyra. This victory belongs to all of us." The coalition's triumph over the Karath marked the beginning of a new era of cooperation and peace in the sector. The bonds forged in battle grew stronger as the once divided species worked together to rebuild and protect their newfound freedom. And as the Aegis sailed through the stars, its crew knew that they had made a difference, not just for themselves, but for countless others who could now look to the future with hope. Epilogue: A New Dawn. The aftermath of the war saw a period of reconstruction and healing. The coalition worked tirelessly to rebuild the worlds devastated by the Karath and to establish a lasting peace. The lessons learned during the conflict helped to forge stronger alliances and a deeper understanding between the different species. The Aegis continued its mission of exploration and protection, now as a symbol of unity and resilience. The crew, having faced and overcome incredible challenges, remained dedicated to their duty and to each other. Lyra and Cal found a new home among the humans, their lives forever changed by the kindness and bravery of the Aegis's crew. Lyra became an ambassador, helping to bridge the gap between her people and their new allies, while Cal grew up in a world where he could dream of a future free from fear. Elias Harper, now regarded as a hero, continued to lead the Aegis with the same determination and compassion that had seen them through the darkest days of the war. He knew that there would always be challenges ahead, but he also knew that they were stronger together. As the stars shone brightly in the endless expanse of space, the crew of the Aegis looked forward to the adventures and discoveries that awaited them. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, hope and unity could prevail. And so, with the promise of a new dawn on the horizon, they sailed onward, ready to face whatever the future might hold, confident in the knowledge that they could overcome any obstacle as long as they stood together.